All right, let's start it off with a bang. We're going to talk about orgasms. In a 2017 survey of sexual behavior, just 65% of heterosexual women reported that they usually or always orgasmed during sexual intimacy. This made them the group with the lowest sexual satisfaction, just behind lesbian and bisexual women and all of the men surveyed. Surprise, surprise, their straight male partners, however, came out on top, with 95% reporting regular orgasms with a partner. Shan, we need to get to the bottom of this. Let's start by talking about what an orgasm is and what happens when you climax.
One of my favorite explanations of what an orgasm is comes from Dr. Emily Morse, and she wrote the book that is called Come As You Are, which is an exceptional book for anybody with a vulva or anybody who sleeps somebody with a vulva to read, to learn more. But Emily describes an orgasm as a release of sexual tension. And so that takes the pressure off of people to have the fireworks and the euphoria and all these big moments, because a lot of people come to me and say, I don't know if I've ever had an orgasm before. And the answer to that is, if you've ever been engaging in sexual activity and suddenly felt a release of sexual tension, then it is highly likely that you've had an orgasm. Yes, there are things like uterine contractions that are very rapid and pleasurable. Yes, there can be a crescendo feeling followed up with a refractory period that can also hallmark orgasm. But for many people, it doesn't have that big bang effect. That doesn't mean that your body hasn't experienced a release.
That is interesting. Okay, so we know it's pleasurable, it feels good. Let's talk about some of the other benefits to having an orgasm.
Oh, my favorite conversation. You know, I love talking about this. Your body naturally wants to orgasm. And something I learned recently is that sleep orgasms, which are extremely common for women, is your body's way of saying, hey, it's been a while. We need to do this for ourselves. And so your body will take care of itself in its sleep in order to give you the benefits that you get, which is improved heart health, improved immune health, improved skin as well, too, because it releases DHEA. It lowers your stress hormones. It can also help regulate your blood flow and improve your mood. So there's a lot of great benefits to giving yourself that happy ending.
I started out by talking about stats, and the differences between having orgasms seems to be quite stark between women and men. Why do you think there's a difference? Why are men reporting regular orgasms and we are not?
The only difference is socialization. I mean, the clitoris and the penis are anatomical twins, meaning that they both function in a similar way. As a matter of fact, the clitoris has 8,000 nerve endings and the penis head has 4,000 nerve endings. And so there's no real physiological reason why women should be having less orgasms, other than the fact the way that we have learned about and seen sex, the way that it shows up, of course, a lot of times in adult entertainment, caters towards what works for a man. And so as a result of that, that's what becomes the focal point. Like, what can we do to achieve that for the male partner? And I do believe that, especially I've been in this field now for 15 years or so, when I first started, the orgasm gap was 1 to 3. Now it's 1 to 2. So we are closing the gap, and there definitely is a bright light at the end of the tunnel, but we have to continue to educate people about the various ways that women achieve orgasm and how in many cases doing what works best for the male partner isn't going to do the trick.
Okay, so I'm going to take that as a cue for my next question, because I want to talk about faking it. There are folks that maybe are faking it, women that are faking it because they want to maybe get to the end of the act because they're tired, or maybe it's because they want to make the partner feel better. What do you think about faking it? Is it something we should be doing, or should that just be scrapped?
I mean, it's definitely scrapped. It's kind of like giving somebody bad directions to your house because you don't want to be impolite, and now you have to always walk a mile for them to pick you up because you don't want to rudely say, like, I actually live up the hill. And now you're the one who's really struggling and suffering from that. And not only that, I think it's an act of solidarity, especially as single people, because what you're doing is communicating false information to that person about what works for people with vulvas. And they're going to continue on thinking, well, this worked so great for my last partner. And so don't do it for yourself, obviously, because you're the one who loses and misses out, first of all. And secondly, in solidarity, to close that orgasm gap, we do need more honesty. Now, I can attest even for myself, I faked it in the past before out of guilt because I felt I must be taking too long. Eventually, I just said to myself, hey, they're never complaining, so why am I doing this? And I realized I was putting the pressure on myself to perform sexually. And when I took that off, it opened a whole new world of pleasure, and I stopped faking it altogether.
Okay, that's actually a really good lesson for so many people watching. I want to know, if you are someone who only very infrequently experiences orgasms, what can you do to make that better?
I think it's a matter of doing what works for you and figuring it out for yourself. It's a very joyful experience, right? So, self pleasure can come in a variety of different forms. And so, it's even figuring out how long your arousal period takes. Now, the average person can take anywhere from 30 seconds to 20 minutes to become fully aroused. And so, knowing how long you take can open up massive amounts of information about what you should be doing for sexual stimulation. So, giving that education to yourself, there's a site I think I mentioned before to you, Tracy. It's called omgyes.com, and it has a variety of women from all different ages talking about the specific way that they achieve orgasm. And there's over 12 different methods listed. So if you haven't really found the method that works for you and you feel a little lost right now or lack of direction, go to that site, check it out, and then try some things at night and see, oh, did that recipe work for me, or this one, or a mix of that and a mix of this? It should be fun. Have fun doing it.
And Shan, your information is